There is an unwritten rule in Hollywood. Your most dangerous enemy isn't the tabloids, nor is it the online haters. Your most dangerous enemy is the person who holds the secrets of who you were before you put on the mask of a saint. And for Meghan Markle, that person isn't sitting in a palace in London. He is sitting in a quiet house in Mexico, holding a pen. It is 11 p.m. in Montecito. Unseasonable rain lashes against the massive glass windows of the $14 million mansion. Inside her oak-paneled study, Meghan takes a sip of herbal tea, gazing with satisfaction at the monthly PR analytics report. Engagement rates are recovering. Articles praising her compassion are surfacing again. Everything seems to be returning to her perfect, curated control. She believes the crown in London is her only real threat. She believes she has successfully severed every root of her past. But then, her encrypted private business phone lights up. The screen flashes the name of the senior strategy director from Sunshine Sachs, her elite PR firm. A call at 11 p.m. never brings good news. Meghan answers, her tone maintaining the flawless, practiced composure she has perfected over thousands of hours. "What is it, Harrison?" There are 3 seconds of dead silence on the other end of the line. When Harrison finally speaks, there is none of the usual sycophantic flattery. There is only dry, suffocating tension. "Meghan, we just received raw intelligence from the London publishing world. A massive book deal is about to be finalized, a tell-all memoir." Meghan lets out a soft, dismissive laugh, elegantly twirling a designer pen between her fingers. "Another royal commentator trying to cash in on my name? Just have the legal team draft a cease and desist." "No, Meghan." Harrison's voice drops, carrying a chilling finality. "The author isn't a commentator. The manuscript is being co-written by Caroline Graham from the Daily Mail, and the sole source, the person providing all the documents, the audio recordings, the financial receipts, and the personal diaries, is your father, Thomas Markle." The designer pen slips from Meghan's fingers, hitting the glass desk with a sharp clack. The perfect, camera-ready smile on her face freezes completely. "He is writing a book," she hisses through her teeth. "Where did he get the platform to publish?" "They are calling it the Doomsday Diary internally, Meghan. It's not just stories. He has the receipts for every dollar he spent funding your early career. He has handwritten letters from you praising him as your hero before you were famous. Most importantly, he is dismantling the entire truth behind the dish soap story that you used as your feminist launchpad." Meghan's breath suddenly catches in her throat. The air inside the $14 million room suddenly feels as suffocating as a tomb. She presses a hand to her chest, trying to steady her breathing. This isn't a tabloid rumor. This is a direct, undeniable strike at the very core of the victim brand she spent years building. "Stop it." Meghan raises her voice, her elegant facade cracking completely. "Use whatever funds we have. Buy the manuscript. Threaten the publisher. Sue the Daily Mail into the ground." "We cannot sue the truth, Meghan," Harrison replies, his voice laced with absolute defeat. "This manuscript contains physical, irrefutable evidence, and the entire British media machine is backing him. They have been waiting for the moment your narrative collapses. The bomb has already been armed." The call disconnects. Meghan stands alone in the cavernous study. The sound of the rain hitting the glass sounds like the banging gavel of a judge delivering a guilty verdict. She looks at her own reflection in the dark, rain-streaked window. She is no longer the powerful duchess holding the world hostage with her truth. She is just a woman haunted by the shadow she created. The past never truly dies. It only waits in the dark, sharpening its knives. And Thomas Markle, the father she carelessly erased from the script, is now the man holding the sharpest blade of all. The ultimate manipulator is finally about to be manipulated. In a world obsessed with curated images and carefully crafted victimhood, the most dangerous weapon isn't a PR firm or a royal title. It is a cardboard box full of memories that a daughter thought she had left behind. And while the Duchess paces the marble floors of Montecito in a blind panic, her father is sitting in the stifling heat of Rosarito, Mexico, staring at a stack of paper that will soon rewrite history. The room is small, cluttered, and smells faintly of sea salt and old paper. A ceiling fan struggles against the humid Mexican afternoon. There are no marble countertops here, no security details, just a worn wooden desk, a cup of lukewarm coffee, and an old, battered cardboard box labeled Meg's Things in faded black marker. Thomas Markle sits heavily in his chair. The harsh light from the window illuminates the deep lines etched into his face, lines carved by years of public humiliation, failing health, and the agonizing silence of a daughter he once adored. Across from him sits Caroline Graham. The veteran journalist doesn't push. She doesn't need to. She simply watches as Thomas slowly, methodically, empties the contents of the box onto the desk. "You know, Caroline," Thomas says, his voice raspy, barely above a whisper. "I spent my whole life behind a camera. I lit the sets. I made sure the actors looked perfect. I hid their flaws in the shadows. I did the same thing for her." He picks up a photograph. It's a young Meghan, smiling brightly, holding a high school diploma. "I paid for the schools. I paid for the headshots. I called in the favors to get her on set," he continues, tossing the photo onto the desk. "I built the stage she is standing on today, and when she finally got the lead role, she decided the lighting director was too embarrassing to be seen with." Caroline leans forward, her eyes sharp. "She told the world she paid her own way through college, Thomas. She told the world she struggled." Thomas lets out a dry, humorless chuckle. It is the sound of a man who has finally stopped making excuses for the child who broke his heart. He reaches into the box and pulls out a thick stack of bank statements bound by a rubber band. $75,000 a year for Northwestern University, paid in full, by me. He drops the stack onto the desk with a heavy thud. Here are the receipts. Next, he pulls out a collection of handwritten letters, the paper slightly yellowed with age. He unfolds one carefully. The handwriting is elegant, unmistakable calligraphy. "She wrote this to me when she was trying to get her first big acting gig," Thomas reads, his voice steadying, growing colder. "Daddy, you are my hero. I owe everything I am to you. I will never forget what you sacrificed." He looks up, meeting Caroline's gaze. She didn't just forget, she erased it. She replaced the truth with a script where she was the lonely heroine who fought the world all by herself. It was a good performance. I'll give her that. She always was a good actress. Caroline gently slides a thick, bound manuscript across the desk. The working title is printed in bold black letters. It is the culmination of months of interviews, fact-checking, and undeniable physical proof. "The publishers in London are ready, Thomas," she says softly. "But once you sign this, there is no going back. This will dismantle everything she has built since she married into the royal family. Are you sure you want to pull the trigger?" Thomas looks at the manuscript. He thinks of the wedding invitation that never arrived. He thinks of the letter she allowed her friends to leak to the press, designed to humiliate him globally. He thinks of the grandchildren he has never been allowed to see. He has spent years waiting for a phone call, an apology, a shred of the daughter he raised, but the silence from Montecito has finally cured him of his hope. "I don't want to destroy her," Thomas says, picking up a pen. His hand, usually shaky, is suddenly remarkably still. "I just want the world to see the unedited footage." He presses the pen to the paper and signs his name with slow, deliberate precision. The ink dries. The contract is sealed. The Doomsday Diary is no longer a threat, it is a reality. And as the manuscript is packed into a secure briefcase destined for London, the countdown to the total collapse of the Sussex Empire officially begins. The father who was written out of the script has just taken back the pen. A secret in Hollywood is a liability, but a secret in London is ammunition. While Meghan Markle scrambles to contain the catastrophic leak from Mexico, her desperate panic is already old news across the Atlantic. The British Crown does not react to scandals, it anticipates them. And the Doomsday Diary is not a surprise to the monarchs of the Iron Era. It is a weapon they have been patiently waiting for. It is a crisp, grey morning in London. Inside the private study of Buckingham Palace, King William stands by the window, hands clasped behind his back, looking out over the sprawling city. The heavy mahogany doors open silently. Queen Catherine enters, holding a single, unmarked black leather folder. She moves with the effortless grace of a sovereign who has completely mastered the Game of Thrones. "It has been confirmed," Catherine says softly, placing the folder on the polished oak desk. "Thomas Markle signed the manuscript last night in Mexico. Caroline Graham has secured the physical evidence. the bank statements, the letters, the unedited transcripts. The publishers are preparing for a global release within the month. William turns from the window. His expression is unreadable, a mask of aristocratic discipline. He walks slowly toward the desk and opens the folder. Inside are advanced copies of the most explosive chapters. So, William murmurs, scanning a page detailing the meticulous financial support Thomas provided for the very education Meghan claimed to have struggled for. The self-made victim was a fabrication. The feminist struggle was a performance funded by the very father she discarded. Catherine watches him, her eyes sharp and calculating. It is not just a PR disaster, William. It is a complete structural collapse of her brand. Sunshine Sachs cannot spin physical receipts. The American media will be forced to cover it. Her entire narrative of fleeing an oppressive institution will shatter when the world sees she oppressed her own flesh and blood long before she ever met us. William closes the folder with a sharp, decisive snap. What is our move? Catherine asks, though she already knows the answer. We do absolutely nothing, William replies, his voice cold and definitive. When your enemy is drowning, you do not throw them an anvil. You simply let them swallow the water. We will issue no statement. We will offer no comment. We will allow the silence of the crown to amplify the noise of her destruction. He looks at Catherine, a dangerous, understanding smile forming between them. Let the father she erased be the one to finally erase her. The crown will remain untouched, watching from above. Far away from the calculated power plays of London, the atmosphere is suffocatingly different. In a remote, rain-battered lodge in the Scottish Highlands, Prince Harry sits alone in a dark, wood-paneled room. The fire in the hearth has burned down to embers. The silence is absolute, broken only by the howling wind outside. He is completely isolated. No PR teams, no Hollywood friends, and most terrifyingly, no Meghan. His encrypted satellite phone, heavily monitored by MI5, rings. It is a rare occurrence. He picks it up slowly, his hand trembling. Harry, the voice on the other end is strained, breathless, and frantic. It is Meghan. They have it, Harry. My father, he signed a book deal. He gave them everything. The letters, the tuition receipts, the photos. The British press is going to publish it all. You have to do something. Call William. Call the lawyers. Stop them. Harry closes his eyes. He listens to the desperation in the voice of the woman who had promised him freedom, only to lead him into a gilded cage of paranoia and isolation. He thinks of the family he abandoned, the brother he betrayed, all to protect the flawless narrative she had woven. A narrative that was, he now realizes, built on a foundation of discarded family members. Call William, Harry replies, his voice hollow, devoid of the fiery indignation he once carried. Meghan, William isn't going to help us. William is the one who locked the door. You're a prince, Meghan screams through the phone, her panic spiraling into rage. Fix this. If this book comes out, we lose the deals, we lose the foundation, we lose everything. Harry looks around the empty, freezing room. He is a prince of the realm, relegated to a shadow in the Highlands. He has already lost everything. I can't fix this, Meg, Harry says softly, a strange, terrifying calm settling over him. Your father kept the receipts. You wrote the script. Now, you have to watch the movie. Before she can scream again, Harry presses the end call button. He places the phone on the table and stares into the dying embers of the fire. The realization crashes over him with the weight of a physical blow. The woman who convinced him that his family was the enemy was the greatest enemy of all. And the crown, the institution he had tried to destroy, was simply waiting for her to destroy herself. The trap has snapped shut. The Iron Era reigns supreme. The king and queen watch from the throne as the architects of their own demise are finally buried by the very past they tried to bury. There are two ways to destroy an enemy. You can strike them in the public square and make them a martyr, or you can trap them in a soundproof room and simply turn off the lights. Queen Catherine, the silent architect of the Iron Era, has no interest in making martyrs. As the Doomsday Diary prepares to detonate across the globe, Meghan Markle scrambles to build one last defense. But she is about to learn that the game ended a long time ago. Montecito is drowning in rain. Inside the $14 million mansion, Meghan paces the length of her marble foyer. Her phone is pressed to her ear as she leaves her fifth frantic voicemail for Oprah's producers. She needs a special. She needs a primetime slot to cry, to play the victim, to preempt her father's devastating revelations. But no one is answering. Hollywood has gone completely, terrifyingly silent. Suddenly, the massive OLED screen in her private screening room flickers to life. It is not a television broadcast. It is a secure, encrypted video link. Meghan freezes. The seal of the British monarch appears on the screen, rotating slowly, before fading into the dimly lit oak-paneled interior of the Queen's private study at Windsor Castle. Sitting behind the grand desk, illuminated only by the soft glow of a desk lamp, is Queen Catherine. She is dressed in immaculate, morning black silk. She is not smiling. She is looking directly into the camera with the cold, unblinking gaze of an apex predator. "Hello, Meghan." Catherine's voice echoes through the empty California mansion. It is perfectly calm, carrying the devastating weight of an empire. Meghan's breath hitches. She steps toward the screen, her survival instincts kicking in, desperately trying to summon the defiant, empowered persona she has relied on for years. "Catherine, if you think you can hack into my home and intimidate me, my lawyers will." "Sit down, Meghan." Catherine cuts her off. The command is so absolute, so devoid of emotion, that Meghan's knees buckle slightly. She slowly lowers herself into a leather chair in the center of the dark room. Catherine folds her hands elegantly on the desk. "Your lawyers have abandoned you. Your PR team is currently drafting their resignation letters, and the networks you are frantically trying to call, they have already signed non-disclosure and exclusivity agreements with the Crown. You have no voice left." Meghan's eyes widen in sheer panic. "You can't do this. I will leak everything. I will tell the world what you really are." Catherine lets out a soft, chilling breath of amusement. "Tell them what, exactly? That I am ruthless? That I protect my bloodline?" Catherine leans forward, the shadows catching the sharp angles of her face. "Did you really think your father, a retired lighting director in Mexico with failing health and no money, had the legal infrastructure to negotiate a global, multi-million-dollar publishing deal all by himself?" The blood drains entirely from Meghan's face. The realization hits her like a physical blow. "You," Meghan stammers, her voice trembling. "You funded the book." "Through a highly classified shell corporation, yes," Catherine states, her voice like ice water. "We didn't just buy the global distribution rights. We bought the physical evidence, the receipts, the letters, the diaries. We own the copyright to your past, Meghan, and tomorrow morning we are serializing it in every major newspaper on the planet." Meghan clutches the armrests of her chair, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the leather. "Why? Why are you doing this? You won! You have the throne!" "Because you forgot your place," Catherine replies, her tone dropping to a lethal whisper. "You thought you could weaponize our silence. You thought our dignity was a weakness you could exploit for Netflix contracts and podcast deals. You played the victim, while leaving a trail of actual victims in your wake, starting with your own father." Catherine reaches for a piece of heavy parchment on her desk. The royal seal is stamped at the bottom in blood-red wax. "This is a royal decree of abeyance," Catherine continues, her eyes locking onto Meghan through the lens. "Effective at midnight, the Sussex title is officially suspended under grounds of fraudulent misrepresentation and treasonous defamation. You are no longer a duchess. You are no longer a member of this family. You are simply Meghan Markle again, a D-list actress with a bankrupt production company and a father who finally told the truth." Meghan opens her mouth to scream, to curse, to beg, but Catherine doesn't give her the chance. "Enjoy the book, Meghan. I hear the chapter about the dish soap is particularly revealing." Catherine reaches forward. The screen goes instantly, pitch black. Meghan sits alone in the dark screening room of a mansion she can no longer afford. The silence is deafening. There is no husband to console her. He is trapped in the Scottish fog. There are no children to hold. They are locked safely behind the iron gates of Kensington Palace. There are no fans, no cameras, no interviews. She has been surgically, completely, and permanently excised from the narrative. Queen Catherine did not just defeat her, she deleted her. The camera slowly pulls back from the dark, isolated mansion in Montecito, crossing the ocean, returning to the bright, impenetrable fortress of Windsor Castle. The royal standard flag snaps violently in the wind. The Queen of Shadows has claimed her ultimate victory. The usurper has been purged, and the Iron Era remains forever unchallenged.